What's up, fellow traders? I'm Travis, and I wanted to get this week started with a quick video just showing you all of my current holdings, positions, stop losses, entries, hopeful exits, just to give you an idea of where I'm positioned going into this week. I don't want to give you a lot of my broad market views right now. I'll do some of that tomorrow morning, but hopefully you can understand based on how I'm positioned, kind of what I'm thinking about. And this is really kind of going to lay the foundation for my videos throughout the week, so I'm not constantly explaining why I'm positioned in a certain stock or the setup. This is kind of the cornerstone content for what we'll be dealing with the rest of the week. So let's get started. I'm going to try to keep this as quickly or as short as possible. I'm not doing any editing, so if I screw up, just feel free to fast forward or whatever you want to do. But you can see here, I've got TradingView open. Hopefully you're all kind of versed in this. If not, let me know. I'll do a video on it later. But down here in the bottom right or bottom left, hiding underneath me, you can see that I am connected to my broker, Interactive Brokers. I recently moved from Robinhood to Interactive Broker. Highly recommend doing the same if you are a serious trader or once you take that leap. And I can talk more about that in another video if that's intriguing. But the point is, I'm showing all my positions here. You see these little L's? I'm long all of these names, 19 or so different stocks. And I'm going to go through each one of them quickly and let you know why I'm in the trade, what I'm looking at for technicals, and what I'm hoping to accomplish. So this is BMNR. It's a Bitmine immersion. It's the Tom Lee's kind of Ethereum treasury company. Listen, these companies are all pretty much garbage. I'm not a big believer in this thing going to $500 or a share or even back to the highs, but I am looking at it as a trade, and that's kind of how I treat everything. You'll come to learn. And what I did here on Friday was I saw Bitcoin. I have a position in IBIT right now as well, and we'll get to that in a second, but I saw Bitcoin trying to come off the bottom, and crypto in general. The sentiment's been absolutely terrible, and I figured, this is a high beta play. I tweeted a little bit about it when I took it. But basically my goal was to get into this thing. And let me see if I can show my executions on here. Sometimes they come through wonky. Extended price execution marks. Yeah, so if I go to, I actually bought this just before markets opened on Friday. This was my entry. See these two little blue arrows? You see I bought 5,000 shares. And my goal was to get a tight stop in as soon as this thing hopefully started moving my direction. I was willing to kind of let this gap stop me out. If that was like the kind of worst case, I'm risking $1 here, maybe 28.80 was my intended stop. I'm risking $5,000. My hope was that we could get some upward momentum early on in the session, and I could get a very, very low risk trade on the books here. And that's what we have now, right? So I have a stop at 29.80 on a 29.90 entry. And I'm basically willing to let this thing hopefully run. This is the 15-minute chart now, and I'm a big moving averages guy. I'm going to do a video talking all about my strategy and exactly what I look for. But this is something I'm constantly on the hunt for, is what I call the turn, right? You're seeing price work through the 200 period moving average. This is a 15-minute chart, mind you. And the 10, what I have here is and I'll pull this down. In blue, I have the 10 exponential moving average. In the pinkish color, I have the 20 EMA. And then the green is the 50, the yellow is the 100, the red is the 200. So what we have here is price moving through that moving average, everything kind of rolling up. And my goal is that continues to happen. So what we really need is Bitcoin to play ball and for this to continue, moving higher. But the reality is I'm risking $500 at this point, and I'm very much okay with this going back, tripping back, and me losing this, 10K worth of open P&L right now to hopefully catch a much bigger win, right? And we need to get through 32, I think, for that to really happen. Where am I looking for that to win? I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I genuinely do two things. In a trade like this, where I have a very little risk involved at this point, I'll let it ride as far as I can. I'll ride the moving averages higher and higher, hoping for a really big score. But most of the time, I am setting a 2x risk initial profit target with 50% of the trade coming off. That helps me de-risk the trade, and I'll show you that in other positions. But right now, I mean, if we zoom out, and this is the 4-hour chart, we're looking at, and I don't like this, I hate to be on extended hours, I just wanted to show you guys the entry there. There goes my freaking laptop. I told you no editing. If we're looking at this though, like really this bottom low right here, 35 would be a target, potential target, somewhere we might want to look to take some profit somewhere between that and 37. And if we could manage to get above that, we're looking at somewhere in this previous high. Now this previous high was not that long ago. It was December 10th when Bitcoin was trying to push higher. So like I said, if Bitcoin can play ball, and I know this is an ETH treasury company, right? When I say Bitcoin, I'm talking crypto in general. If crypto can get going, get off these lows, this has a lot of potential to really rip, right? So again, tiny risk at this point, $500 to make what, say we come up to 35, we're at 31 right now. That's call it an extra $4 and find this 20 grand. I'd like to see go further. I'd like to see go to 40 plus. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm going to skip over Palantir real quick to IBIT since I'm talking so much about crypto right now. Anyway, we might as well get this out of the way. So what happened here is I tried to, I don't think my initial entries are on here anymore. Yeah, sometimes my entries they get like erased and lost in the ether. So I tried to buy it somewhere in here. I scratched out basically. I took like a $200 loss, very, very small on 4,000 shares. But here on Monday, I started buying and I bought a little more and I bought a little more. And I ended up with an average, a $10,000 or 10,000 share average at like 49.31, right? And my stop's down here at 47.30. So I am risking right now still with my stop, I'm risking about 20 grand, right? Which is a little more than I like to be. I'm trading a little bit over $1 million right now, 1,061,000. It's a little heavy on the risk side for me, to be honest. I like to be 1% or lower per trade. And I'll be quite honest, I didn't share this trade on Twitter. I think this has a 30 to 40% chance of winning, right? So when I think about that, let's call it 33%. 1 out of 3 times I'm going to win this trade. I'm risking $2 per share. So if I lose this, let's hypothetically say I take 3 of these trades, exactly like this. I lose 2, so I lose $4 per share. I like to keep a 2-to-1 profit target, right? In general, like average. So if I'm losing 4 in those first 2 trades, that means that third trade I need to make 8, right? So basically what I'm saying is that I would need this to go to, if I'm at 49.31, I would need, 57.31. So we're talking way up here. I think that's very possible. Otherwise I wouldn't be in the trade, right? You don't want to be in a trade that you don't think is going to be profitable in the long run, right? I think sentiment on crypto, Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, Bitmine, whatever, is so in the gutter. Everything I see on X is just like doom and gloom. We're screwed. It's over. Meanwhile, stock indices are like at near all-time highs, right? I believe that the chance for this to be forming some kind of bottom right now, whether it's temporary or the bottom, I don't give a crap. I am simply looking for a return to the mean, like a mean reversion play. And so the 200-day moving average to me makes a lot of sense. And I know that I'm showing IBIT, well, we can look at Bitcoin too. It's kind of the same, same. I often will look at Bitcoin's chart and buy or sell IBIT based on the Bitcoin chart, right? So what I'm looking for is a move higher. The 200-day moving average here on Bitcoin's like 107. If we got to 100, 105, even like high 90s in this zone, I'd be stoked. So what I'm looking for initially, is, and where are we here? Bitcoin slightly down. It hasn't done anything all weekend. We need to get above this like 90K level. It just got rejected there all late last week. And then kind of grind up, and then the next target's like above 95, right? And if that can start happening, we're going to be in great shape. I am slightly in profit on this trade right now, but it's just, it doesn't make sense. Like I said, if I expect to win this a third of the time, I need to have expectations that this is going much higher, and I do. We're seeing, the RSI is kind of peeling up. Hopefully the MACD starts playing ball and rolling up. What I really like is the weekly look as well. Ignore all these vertical lines. I do a lot of chart art. But MACD on the weekly has been rolling higher, right? We're seeing these, decreasingly negative MACD readings, just like we kind of saw back here in April. We saw it back here in September 2024. So I'm not saying we're going to push higher and make new all-time highs. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I don't care. My view on this trade right now is, can we get back to like the 100 zone? And if we can, I definitely would be taking at least half of this IBIT off and trailing the rest, or all of it if I think that it's going to kind of fall apart up there. So we take it as it comes. Moving on or back to Palantir. It's a big retail favorite. And I'm going to take some of these execution marks off. I'll just leave them on for now. Who cares, right? They kind of get in the way and they annoy me. But I was looking at Palantir. I never owned the stock until just recently. From an hourly perspective, we got above the 200-hour moving average. We were forming this bull flag. I tweeted about it. And bounced around in here and finally shot out. So I tightened my stop loss on this. We're still, at risk here. I haven't taken any off. This is one that I'm kind of looking at. I'd like to see it kind of poke into this gap that we had back, gap down after earnings. If we can get up there, I'm definitely going to be taking half off and trailing the rest. So again, you see these moving averages trying to roll up. The daily, we're above the 50. I'll zoom in here a little bit. We're above the 50, we're above the 100, we're well above the 200. And the 10 and 20 EMAs, they're starting to turn higher, right? And they never crossed over like they did here. This was a big warning sign. They crossed back up higher, we consolidated, and now we're moving higher. So I'm hoping that we can continue to get some of this upward momentum on early this coming week. All right, I'm going to try to move a little faster because I know long videos are just, they don't hold our attention. This is AppLovin. It's been had a big run, and I did not capture any. I mean, if you zoom out, this thing's been an absolute monster. You don't hear a lot about it on social media. I think like these expensive stocks chase people away. I've been holding this one. See, this is the thing. My execution marks aren't on here, so I'd have to go into my journal to know exactly when I bought this. But it's been a week. It's been a few weeks, I think. So I've been really patient with it, and some could argue that it's been not the greatest trade because it's just taken so long. But we're up nicely. I have not taken any partial profits on this yet. I'd really like to see it poke above all-time highs before taking off like a third. But I have moved my stop. You see my stop here is slightly above my entry, so I can't lose on this trade. I almost can't lose, right? We could have a big gap down overnight, which is, exceeds my stop loss, and then I absolutely would lose. But, in theory, I can't lose. My stop is above my entry. So all is looking well here, but again, you're going to notice this theme. I like to trade with the trend. The trend right now is very clearly higher. And if you take away these, the 10 and 20 EMA, it's very easy to see the 50 is curling higher. The 100 is at this nice, beautiful 45-degree slope. If I'm looking at the camera, I guess this way, right? And the 200 is kind of sloping the same direction. So that's why I love to see that. And trade with the trend and just, don't overcomplicate it. And if we put this 10 and 20 back on, again, these guys are starting to roll up. It should hopefully work. Like, is it similar to this, what we saw back here in August, where, this 10 and 20s kind of rolled up out of this trough and we went a big rip higher. So if I can get 50 or 30, a third of this off up here and let the other just work for me, that's the situations I like to be in. You de-risk the trade completely, which we already have with the stop, but bank some profit and let the rest run. That's how I like to trade. Albemarle, whatever, it's a lithium energy, right, play. I wrote about this. You see these marks. I wrote about this. I think it was going into December. And that's what this was here. I was initially entering here. I didn't hold it long enough. But I recently re-entered here. And, it's been good. I like to enter oftentimes on the 15-minute chart, right? So we had this consolidation here. I bought a little bit early, but my stop I had below this low. And my target was a 2x right here, we hit in actually in after hours, which was kind of a pleasant surprise. If I take off, if I show extended hours, you see that maybe better. Yeah, see how this kind of chop. We hit that profit target for 1,000 shares, completely de-risked the trade, bank some money, yada, 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 and now I'm just letting the rest run. It's always, I don't have a real rule about where I'm, moving the stop as it's in profit. Sometimes I'm more aggressive with the 20 and 10 EMAs, but oftentimes I'm trailing kind of the 200 period moving average on the time frame that I entered the trade on. It's very important, right? You don't want to get sucked into this vortex where you're like, hey, I entered the trade on a 1 minute chart, and now I have a daily time frame profit target. You have to manage the trade based on the time frame that you took it, in my opinion, right? Otherwise, you're just going to get like, you're going to trick your mind into thinking that there's more to the trade than there actually is, and you hold it too long, it reverses back on you. Oh no, I should have sold up here, and now you're going to end up holding the trade longer because you thought you should have, you should at least get the price that you was. Just try to manage based on the time frame that you entered the trade. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. This one, it should work out quite well for us. And I'm hoping that this trails higher and higher. It's been super strong though, so wouldn't be surprised if we do get a reversal. But I might, if this keeps floating up, I might just keep ratcheting that stop more aggressively. If you zoom out here, bump this out so we can see it better. This would be the 170, 172 area. Would be very tempting to just take it off, right? I mean, there was a lot of support here way back in March 2022. We had support here, same level, April 2023, fell through, resistance, puked, right? We're above this now. This is the support zone that we puked through. So, maybe you take a lot more off here, or at least half, but I would be tempted to just pull it, right? Maybe trail the last 500 shares or something like that. I will cross that bridge when we hopefully get there. Twilio. Not one I see a lot about on social media, which I love. I don't like it. Makes me nervous when I see Rivian getting just too much social media attention from retail crowd, right? But I entered this trade not that long ago. Again, I use I like to look at the daily to see what kind of trend we're in. I like to usually trade uptrends or be along with the uptrend on the daily. And then drill down. I love the 15-minute for entries. I just do. It works really, really well for me. So we came through this 200. I was kind of late, but we were having this consolidation. I kind of cheated. Got in before the full roll-up, but I'm glad I did. And then boom, I hit. My stop was relatively tight. I think it was like 131 or somewhere just below these lows. So a 2x on my. No, what am I talking about? Yeah, this was my initial buys. Oh, yeah. So I hit my 2x profit, right? That's why this is confusing. My average is up here. I took off half. So we originally bought 3,000, took 1,500 off because it was 2x my initial risk. And then I added down here. I added the 1,500 back because I just really think that this trend is just getting started. So my hope/goal right now is that we get another push higher. Into 150-ish area, and I can maybe take another half off again and let the rest go. But if you bump this out to the weekly, this thing looks like a monster in the making. If it can get through that 151, I mean, this was something that we were trading back in 2021, and it was just on this freaking amazing tear, like a lot of these stocks I'm going to show you. But I don't know how high this thing can go, and that's kind of the point. I want to leave on half the position and just let it go, and hopefully just pull my average win with it, right? So we're going to hopefully ride this to like the 150 area, take another half off, and then if that can hopefully break, we just keep trailing and see what the market will give us. So I really like Twilio here. Again, not talked about a lot on social. I don't see it on Reddit. I don't see it on Twitter. Nobody's got eyes on it from what I can tell. ISRG is Intuitive Surgical. They make like the Da Vinci, robot to do surgeries and stuff. I don't know a lot about the company, but I do know that they had this amazing reaction to the earnings report, and it's been consolidating ever since. So it's been on my watch list for literally over a month. And I've just been kind of stalking it, letting it consolidate. I don't want to get in too early, because if I get in too early and I win 6 months, or excuse me, like 6 weeks out, that's great, but there's an opportunity cost to that capital, right? So I'm trying to time this as close to the breakout as I can. And that's where my 15 kind of comes into play. Now, I had chances to get into this here, felt too early. It just felt too early looking at the daily, like this thing needs to consolidate more. And if I'm wrong and the stock gets away from me and it rips, I don't care. There are so many setups out there, guys. Do not get FOMO about missing a setup. You're going to miss thousands of setups. Nobody cares. You should not care, because there is unlimited opportunity in the stock market. Every single day you can find a setup. I promise you that. All right. So just stay patient. But that's what I did. I stayed patient. This thing rolled up, it's doing the turn, it's taking the turn, right? The 200 rolling up here, everything, all the other moving averages. I call this being purely aligned, where the 50, the 100, and the 200 are all stacked and moving kind of at a 45-degree angle. It's beautiful. It's perfect. So I entered here, like 400 shares, and then another 100 or 200, yeah, so 600 total. Relatively tight stop. Call it, it's like $10 on 600, so 6,000. Say my account's $1 million, it's 0.6%. So very much well in the ballpark of what I'm comfortable risking per trade. Again, if this thing can get rolling, here's my target, 594. It's 2x my risk, right? My stop loss, my initial stop loss, 559, 568 entry, it's about 2x. So half comes off there, hopefully, if we can get there. And the other half starts getting trailed. It gets trailed. Hopefully we, continue to rip. This is the weekly. Like, if this thing can break out, this is kind of like a big, it's not really a bull flag, but it's a pennant consolidation of some sort, and if we can break out higher from this, like, why not keep going and see how much we can get from it. So that's, I also like these plays too, because it's not, it's not your typical tech name, it's not your crypto name. There's a little diversification, being in med devices or healthcare, whatever we want to call this sector is in. It's been very, very strong. So we'll see what can happen. This is Next Power. This one has been taking its sweet time. You don't even see my entries anymore. I wonder if they just like phase them out when it's taken too long, a couple weeks or something. But I think it was on this spike. I bought here on December 11th. It was 10 days, which isn't terrible. But I was really hoping that this was going to this was the breakout, right? We had some strong volume. We got through, this level, this resistance level, but not kind of all the way through. But I thought it was enough momentum that was going to get us there. But we reversed the next day. So on equally strong volume. So we got more volume here on Friday. I don't know if it's going to be enough. I'm trying to stay patient here. The good news is there's a very obvious invalidation level here, 83, right? If we start going below 83, you don't want to be in the stock. Like, you don't want to be that person that is in a stock and it's just like, I think it's a good value. It's underpriced. It's cheap. It's not cheap. The market's telling you that it's getting discounted for a reason. Get out, right? I don't want to rant too much here, but I see this happen all the time. People think that a stock is cheap. Root is what I see on Twitter all the time. It's like, this fucking thing is, this thing is not cheap. It's just in a downtrend and you don't want to own it. And the odds of this going below this recent low are high. Own the stocks that are doing this in reverse. Flip this chart. That's what you want to see. So my point is, I'm trying to catch the next leg of this. And if we go below 83, I don't want to own the stock. I'm a trader. I'm not an investor. I'm not trying to outsmart the market. I'm more humble than that. And I just think buy things in uptrends and find levels where you say, hey, I was wrong. I'm wrong on the stock. Maybe it sets up again later and I'm right eventually, but right now I'm wrong. Today I'm wrong. And I can own that and I can go look myself in the mirror and say, it's cool, man. I am not perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect trader. All right, rant over. This is an ag play. So again, diversification a little bit. I'm not in all this tech stuff. I'm not in a bunch of Bitcoin stuff or crypto stuff. This is like they make like fertilizer and potash and stuff like that. I really don't know. It's I think one of the biggest ag companies out there. And so what we had here is this I love these setups. I love these. You guys master these setups where you have this beautiful basing structure. Let me zoom out a little more. What you have here is a huge run up in what I call this downward move. And I'm going to go over all this in more detailed videos. Looking for an arrow. Where the heck's an arrow? This painful down move, right? And then the sideways action. And this sideways action happened for not as long as I thought, a year. You'll see much longer ones. But you have this kind of rounding kind of sensation to it where it finally stops making lower lows and it makes it's a higher low, right? And a higher low. And we're getting this almost like a cup and handle type thing, but bull flag, if you want to call it, and started moving out of the bull flag, right? And moved out of the bull flag here, these 2 days. On the date chart, right? Yeah, December 11th and 12th. And I was like, oh man, I missed it. And I said, I'm okay with that. I'm okay that I missed this setup. But if it comes back down, I'm going to buy this thing hand over fist. Well, not hand over fist, but to some degree. And that's what it did here. The very next, or last Monday, the 15th. Came down, it was on my watch list because I said, I want to be in this stock. And if it comes down, I'm going to buy it. I do my nightly prep. And it did. It came down, and I was a little chicken to buy it down here because I don't want to buy it falling. I waited, it started coming up, and I got in on this, this nice wick down. And by the end of the day, I was already sitting pretty. And I'm like, shit, I should have bought more, right? You always want to own more when you're right, and you never own enough. And when you're wrong, you always own too much. But so I've been trying to add. I was trying to add on Friday. That's what this limited order is. I think I was trying to get like another 1,000 shares. And it only, let me see, yeah, I got filled for like 4,000 here. That was the initial buy. Here, I was trying to buy 1,000. I got 548. So I'm at 4,548 with another 452 on the book. I don't know if I'll get it or not. I don't really care. I'm glad I got some. But the whole hope here is, again, the 2x risk target, 66.33. And the hope is that we catch a runner. If we can get through this and kind of start making our way out of this base like once and for all. You put yourself in enough of these situations where you can take half off and move the stop loss up above, slightly, break even. So you've banked half for sure. And then see how much you can get. I did this other, I don't have this position anymore. I did this with Giga Cloud Technology. And again, I wrote about this on my blog and my newsletter that I send out sometimes. I wrote about this exact stock. I was buying, I forget somewhere in here, but I got like a huge move on this. I want to say like 40%. Made a killing, but I stopped myself out kind of right. It was a 15 minutes chart, stopped out as this was right here. I think it was, I stopped out on the 200 period. And then we went through this consolidation. It's like, maybe I'll buy when it breaks out. I missed it. It was just a huge breakout. I missed it. But then I look back later in the day and you see the whole daily is ugly, ugly candle. So that one's still settling. I still like the stock, but this one's too early. But my point is, this is what we want. This is what we want to do on repeat is, what was that, NTR? Is de-risk the trade. Okay? And then you have this you're playing with house money. You're free rolling. And how much are they going to throw your way, right? Have your bags ready and just keep filling them. And by keep filling them, I mean raise that stop loss incrementally every day. Check where it's at. It's very easy to maintain, especially if you're working a full-time job. We can get into that more. And I have so much I want to get into. Reddit, I screwed up on this one, guys. I'll own that. I tweeted about it. I should have been stopped out of this long ago. And this is partly why I want to be doing more YouTube stuff. I want to feel... what is the word I'm looking for? I want to feel like I'm being held accountable by a higher standard. People are watching me. Not because I want to be watched, but because I want to think before I do something stupid and say, man, Travis, you're going to have to own this. You're going to have to own this to everybody else. And they're going to say, Travis, I thought you weren't supposed to do this stuff. I thought, why are you doing this when you preach that you shouldn't? So long story short, and again, my executions are not here for some. I bought right in this area on the 15-minute chart. I'm like, oh, this thing's going to break up. Nice consolidation. It didn't. All right. My stop was initially here, right in this zone, 229, 230. Like an idiot, I moved my stop down, and I feel ashamed to admit it. But I am not. I'm not perfect. I am not immune to these lizard brain moments that just take over, and you know you shouldn't be doing it, but you're doing it, and you can't explain why. I mean, you know why. You don't want to take the loss. You don't want to. You hope it's going to come back. You want to be right. It's ego. Anyway, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm trying to. I still believe in this trade from a daily perspective, and you know, you look at the moving averages again. The 50. This is kind of the problem. The 50 isn't above the 100, which is not great. However, these are kind of rolling up. So this is a position I might lighten up on, just because it was an error, and I should mentally clear the books on this trade. But I do believe that Reddit has some great potential to potentially move out of this up to new highs and keep rolling. But like, this is wearing on me mentally, because I know I made a mistake here, and the trade's still on the books, so I can't quite fully move on from it, because it's still there. It's still reminding me, hey, you screwed up and you shouldn't have. So there's a big argument for me to just clear this from the books, right? And take a small loss or a small win and just be done with it, free up the capital. So not something I actually love today, right? If I'm being honest, the 15-minute looks okay, and that's kind of why I'm giving it some room. You know, it's above the 200. These are starting to roll up. So we'll see how it turns out Monday. But the more I talk about it, the more I feel like I should just clear it. Moving on. Gosh, I don't know how long I'm going here, but hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Zoom is another one that I added to here. It doesn't have my original buy. I'm not sure when that was, but this is another one of those. It's got a couple things going for it. You zoom out, no pun intended, but it was another one of those 2021 COVID market darlings that just went absolutely parabolic. There's a lot of stocks doing this right now, so take note. Think about what stocks are happening, like right now, uranium, quantum, blah, 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 blah. These are going to be the stocks. And we're talking about 40 years from now that look like this, the charts look like this. I promise you, there's going to be plenty of them that everyone's all hyped up about on X or Reddit, and I'm going to get stupid rich. No, you're not. Sorry. But anyway, we had a fall from grace, right? We had a multi-year base, which is what we've got here. I showed you this on Twilio, I think. Something, or, other stocks we've looked at, and then you're having something, it's trying to break out. Earnings have been moving up, they're making more money. They had this gap up and kind of sell off on earnings, and I thought, okay, that's going to be it, we're going to consolidate, move higher. So it's been a little bit slow to get going, unfortunately, but I still like it here a lot. I think this one has got some potential. If we can get really rolling here, it's gonna move. I'm still taking, I used to have 3,000 shares on it. I added another 1,000 here. I think 1,000, not the best entry, but they're there now. Looking to take 1,500 off original 50% at 93.36, and then just get this thing free rolling, right? Like we do. IDXX, they do, or IDXX, I don't know, they do like it's like a healthcare company for veterinarians, including, dogs, pets. Dogs, I love dogs. I got my dog here on the floor. But again, another kind of gives us some diversification away from tech, crypto, etc. So different, not something on anyone's radar right now on socials. This was a new position for me very, very recently. I think it was Friday. Yeah. And honestly, a little dicey. I'm kind of front running the turn, right? So you can notice that we were above the 200, but we haven't fully rolled up. The 100 hasn't rolled up. So I'm getting a little aggressive with this. That said, whenever I do kind of try to get aggressive, notice I only have 300 shares on. And what's my entry? 702, 300 shares. We've got a $16 stop loss. So what's that? $4,800 is my risk. So that's less than 0.5% of my, my account, which is it does two things. One, if I'm wrong, it doesn't hurt me as bad. Cool. But two, if I'm right, and this thing moves up, say up to 710, or it gets above this 711, and these moving averages do start moving up, and we do get the full turn, gives me room to add without kind of blowing my risk out, right? So. Or even having to move my stop loss up quite yet. So that's kind of how I'm looking. I'm looking at this 300 as kind of the pilot buy. I don't do that a ton, but just in this situation, that's how I'm playing it. Again, if you look at the daily, we have managed to stay above the 50-day moving average so far. Everything's trending up, and if we can just get this 10, the TL1, to roll up through the 20 EMA, think it's off to the races, and that's probably, you know, over 710, 711, something like that. And then again, half comes off. I guess we had a third right now at 737. If I add a little more, we'll do the same thing. So this is very much still in play for me. It's early on in this trade. A lot of these I'm showing you are not. I've already hit partials. So something to take a look at if you're interested. Again, not financial advice. I'm not telling you to take a trade. Just showing you what I'm doing. And this one was recent. So still very much in play. What do we have here? Merck. I like it. I like it a lot. Again, not crypto, not tech. We're healthcare, right? Healthcare has been, if I go to sectors, I've got a sector list. I got lots of lists. Okay. XLV has been a friggin' beaut. It's been a beaut. Look at this. You know, it made the turn here, came through the 200, everything rolled up, and trying to go to new highs here. The 10 and 20 never crossed, so MACD's rolling up. There's a lot to like. I think this is going to keep performing well. In terms of Merck, same kind of look, right? We got through the 200. Lot of potential to potentially move higher. Potentially move higher. That sounds stupid, but you know what I mean. I was primarily trading this on. I'm trying to figure out where the heck did I enter this thing? This doesn't seem right. Oh, here, all my entries are here. I think something's wrong on the display. Weird. No. I don't know why my buy is way up there. 3,000 shares. 1,000 shares at 126. 2,000 at 206. I don't know. Something seems wonky there. I did initially buy here on the 15th, and I got stopped out. I was a little aggressive with the stop loss. But I rebought on Thursday here. So I'm not sure why this is. Let me look at my spreadsheet too. I keep a spreadsheet, guys, of my outstanding risk. I'll just drag it in so you guys can see this. The kind of worst case scenario if all my stops got hit, and Merck is here. So 3,000 shares. Yeah, my entries are 112. So I'm not sure why that's not displaying properly, but that's strange. Let's pull this up. Merck. It might just be, I don't know. It might just be, I shouldn't have my U2 USD. I don't know. Anyway, that's strange. It bothers me. Point is, this is rolling up nicely on the hourly chart, and I am trading this from an hourly perspective, although I might have kind of taken entries. Yeah, this is kind of rolling up on the 15. You can see the entries there, boom, 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 boom. But yeah, I think that I'm managing the risk on this trade from an hourly perspective. I don't even have my profit. Oh yeah, and I plan to not put an initial profit target on this one. I'm just gonna let it roll. I'm risking, if you look at my real cost basis of 100, it's called 100, 112. 100, I'm risking like $2 on this, so 6K. For now, I'm gonna just let it ride. If I were to take half off, it'd probably be right up here in the 105 zone. But I like this one a lot. Again, this was a newer trade for me, so if you're looking to add more exposure or inventory, whatever you like to call it, I think Merck is an interesting play. Lemonade is I backed on Root a bit ago, and I would say, like, why would you buy Root over Lemonade, which is the clear leader in this sector right now, right? It's just came out of that base, the base that we're talking about after rip higher in 2021 COVID, story, fall from grace, based, dead money, you guys, dead money. Let's just not even talk about the decline, but even if you bought in March 2022, completely dead for almost 3 years. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to hold it's such an opportunity cost. So we finally came out, and this was on my radar for a long time. I just hadn't been in it. Ping pong through this area for a while, broke out. And this one, I have taken partial profits, and then I rebought at one point. I think I had 2,000, and then I took 1,000 off, and then added 1,000 back or something like that. I was in and out of it a fair bit. But right now, I'm simply trailing the rest, the 2,000. If we get a strong move higher, I can see this at 110 pretty easily before we start finding some serious resistance. So maybe I take half off there and trail the rest. But for now, or of course, it starts backsliding and you just get out, right? And that's why incrementally we'll move this stop up. If this 20 EMA starts getting up here to the 79, 80 zone, we're going to bump this up $1 or $2, etc. Throughout the week. And again, that's the name of the game. And you're going to see that over and over and over and over with me. Tesla. I was in this initial entry was 424. I had 400 shares. I took 200 shares off. Again, I wish my entries were in here. There no longer are. Oh no, yeah, there it is. I took 200 off at 468 as it was breaking through here. Came down, consolidated. Kind of poor entry on the re-add, but 485 on the re-add. So I'm at 400 long again. I've talked about this on Twitter. I'm hopeful that this thing moves up, breaks. 500 is like a magnet at this point. It's gotta go up there. It doesn't have to, but you know what I mean. And my hope is to move the stop loss into profit again here soon. But at this point, even if it did backslide and hit the stop, I'm going to be okay on there. I think I banked enough profit to. This is my journal trades. Where are we, boys? I think we brought enough. Let me see Tesla. Yeah, so we banked $9,000 on the partial Tesla, and you can see that. Let's see. I bought 400, 200 came off, 968. Well, yeah, 422, 429, so 424, something average, right? So hopefully going to just kind of keep trailing this higher. I like it. I mean, you can't argue with the momentum. Everything's moving higher. The moving averages look great. 15 minutes a little noisy at this point. It's just kind of, we're chopping. We've been chopping for the last couple of days, which is understandable. Big moves, they need to consolidate. So staying patient there. Jumia is another, the theme here, you guys, there's a theme. Zooming out. 2021, and I remember these names from then, and I'm telling you, this whole freaking cycle is going to repeat. It always does. So you have a lot of names like Iran, Nimbus, and all these quantum names, and all these uranium names. They're all going to go through this cycle. Don't get caught back holding it, okay? But you see this huge, and then fall from grace, then the base, and we're moving out of it. Which is awesome to see. Good for Jumia and the employees and whoever else, right? They aren't in the United States, but I'm happy for them anyway. And we kind of formed this cup and base. It's been jittery, I'll tell you that. I made a mistake on this, and I shared it on Twitter. See if I can find it real quick. Travis Wazorek. No, I spelled my name wrong. I should love it. E-I-D-I-O-R. Shared it on Twitter. Here, Jimmy, we're getting close. Now, I might not be able to find it. All right, I'm not going to waste your time. But my point was, I made a mistake. I saw this breakout. I think this breakout coming on the 10th, and I had my initial profit target to take 50% off at 13.05. 13.05. I have another account I trade, and that one I didn't move, but this one I moved higher, like substantially, like into the 14s. So I'm like, oh man, it's finally gonna go. I can make more on this trade. It didn't go. And it reversed. It was so brutal because it reversed. I did talk about this, man. 8 days. I'll find the tweet maybe later. But I missed it. And then I was like, okay, still Travis, put your stop or put your target back at 13.05. And I did. And I waited. And we got close the next day. And then close the next day. And then we puked down there. I'm like, oh, mother. And we just couldn't get there. And it was just a big strain on my mental capital, especially because the markets were kind of selling off in those days. And it was tough. I was like, I just kept thinking, man, why did I move that target? So just all the small lessons. And anyway, it finally hit here, 1304, 10,000 shares came off. But I tweeted about it and I said, don't do stuff like this, because not only did I, waste 8 days of opportunity cost where I could have taken that cash and yen and used it on another trade. But the mental strain for that is just like beating myself up. It's not fun. B is like, how is that impacting the rest of my other trading? I don't know how much, but I guarantee you it's not a positive impact. So just like if you're going to set a stop or profit target, let it sit. Don't get greedy in the moment where you're like, yes, how much more can I make? Doesn't matter. There's always another trade. You're always going to make more somewhere else, and you're never going to sell the top. You're never going to buy the bottom. You just take what's in the middle. Take the big juicy bites and move on. All right, lecture over. Roku, last example, and then I'll get you guys out of here. If it loads here. Oh no. Come on, Roku. See if I have it up top anymore. Wife is also texting me, guys. One sec. She says headed home. Great. Kids are incoming. It's gonna be perfect timing. Roku is another one. Not really talked about a ton. No, did my broker just disconnected? My connection to the broker. Okay, I'm not gonna reconnect it here, guys. But same thing. 2021 COVID, era, huge parabolic run, puked. Fall from grace, multi-year bottoming structure, sideways, dead money, whatever you want to call it, and we're coming out. We're coming out of it, right? So these are the moves I really like to look for, right? I mean, I'll trade this stuff, and if we can get through, the sky's kind of the limit. If this thing can keep going, we'll deal with that. I don't know where my target is right now because the orders aren't on that. But this is the kind of stuff that I really love, to catch these big moves before it happens. That doesn't mean I won't play stuff like ALB. ALB's not a great example because it came out too, but Tesla? No, I mean BMNR, no, that's Palantir, okay? It doesn't mean I won't play stuff like Palantir, who's already gone through this big run. But you have to be more careful when you're playing what is potentially the late stages of the run, right? Some of these trades, I forget what stage we would call this, maybe stage 3 or 4, maybe, right? Where there's, a lot of potential. Like, how much higher is this thing going to go before we see a big 50, 80% correction? Nothing stops this stock from coming back down to close to 100. And, I think the people who are really mentally invested in these companies, it's a part of their identity. They have a hard time hearing that. They will go freaking ballistic on you if you tell them that. But that's the truth. That's the way of the stock market. I don't care about value, any of that stuff. The reality is everything goes through cycles. Palantir will go through a cycle. So it's just knowing where you are in that. So that's why I like to drill down on this 15-minute, or hourly, and we're keeping our stops close. I'm not trying to play this for, I don't have expectations that this thing's going to 400 or 500 and, I'm going all in. Like, that's lunacy. But I do hope that it can go to, 200, maybe 210, maybe 230. I don't know. I'll play it as it comes. But that's it. That's a wrap, right? Guys, we're through every position. Tomorrow morning, I don't know when you're watching this, Monday morning, I'm going to stop in. I'm going to give you some quick thoughts where I think we are in the market. I'm going to kind of show you what I do in the morning, manage positions, maybe talk about some of these things on my short list. I had an awesome Rocket Lab trade on Friday. My executions were no longer there. I made a crushing on it. And then I can show you my trades viz too. I'm going to end up, bringing in trades from the previous day, showing you kind of how those played out and stuff like that. But this is my kind of short list, that I'm watching for potential entries on new stuff. Kind of packed to the gills on inventory right now. If you saw this, I've got a lot. I need to get some of this stuff off. So that's kind of the focus for tomorrow and maybe the whole week. But I'm always kind of taking stuff off and putting new stuff on. So we'll do some live trades as well. So thank you for watching, you guys. I really do appreciate it. You're going to help me stay accountable to myself. And in return, I will be teaching you everything I have learned. Now, learn in real time and continue to learn. So thanks, and I'll catch you soon. Take care, guys.